taxi engineer. I'm really excited about this topic because I always feel like I'm someone that, likes to learn languages, polyglot and all that. So, super excited to be talking about Maori. Maori is an indigenous language of New Zealand. Tero Maori, which means Maori language, is an official language of New Zealand alongside English and New Zealand Sign Language. But it wasn't always like this though. I'd like to apologize in advance if I mispronounce any word. Please correct me kindly and ever so softly in the comment section. So very briefly, the history of Tero Maori. The use of this language, Māori, was officially discouraged and banned by you-know-who. You couldn't use this language in schools, in the communities. Others, the you-know-who, will look at it as being disrespectful and you will be punished. It wasn't until 30th April 2016 that the ban was repealed. And that is very, very recent. But that's not the purpose of this video. As a traveler to New Zealand, you have most likely interacted with the Maori language. And that's because as an official language, Maori is used side by side with English. Every public institution, from ministries, agencies, to hospitals, and even some NGOs have Maori names. So if you're thinking of coming to New Zealand to study, to work, for whatever reason, or you're already in New Zealand, these are some Maori words that you should know, some common Maori words, so that when you hear them, you're not taken aback, because the Maoris will use their language and they will apply their culture at every given opportunity, and rightly so. The first Maori language you should know is Aotearoa. Aotearoa is a Maori word for New Zealand. It's loosely translated into the land of the long white clouds. So you see them use it in their national anthem and in similar phrases. The next Maori word, and this is a very common, if not the most common Maori word you will hear in New Zealand or even outside New Zealand, is kia ora. Kia ora, you will see this when you arrive at the airport. You will hear it at the airport, you will read it at the airport, you will see it in emails, you will see it everywhere. Everyone uses kia ora. Even I use kia ora in some of my videos. Kia ora is a greeting which means hello or thank you. Another way to say hello is by saying tēnā koe. So pay attention to the macrons on the vowels. When you see these macrons on the top of the vowels, you have to emphasize that vowel. So you say tēnā instead of tēnā. Tēnā koe is only used when you are speaking to one person. If you are speaking to two people, you say tēnā korua. And if it's three or more people, you say tēnā koto. You can also say kia ora koto. It means the same thing, but it's only used again when you're speaking to three or more people. The fourth one is ngā mihi. This is an expression of acknowledgement that can be used for a variety of occasions. It can mean congratulations, thank you, but the most common use of it is as a sign-off at the end of an email to mean kind regards. A variation of ngā mihi is ngā mihi nui. Still means kind regards, but it's emphasis on the gratitude. I like to use ngā mihi a lot. If you notice, it has ng. That ng is a digraph. And if you're an Ibibio or an Efik language speaker, it's the same thing as that sound we have in our language. For instance, in Ibanga, yeah, the G gives that in some kind of kick. So it's a digraph. Morena. Morena means good morning. And I like it when it's pronounced as if you're singing. Morena. So cool. Sounds really sweet. And gives you that burst of energy to have a good morning actually. Matewa. Again, you hear this when your flight has landed, but I often hear it from newscasters at the end of their session. They will say Matewa. This means see you later or bye for now. Another common Maori language is harera. You use this one when you're talking to someone who is leaving. So it means goodbye or farewell. And you will hear when people are bidding their, let's say you go with your friend to a party and the friend decides to leave, tell them harera. Or you're burying someone, harera, farewell, goodbye. Kappa is another good one. It means well done or good, and it's always followed with a high five. So if you have subscribed to my channel or you've just turned on notification, kapai. Haremai is a Maori expression for welcome. You'll also hear people saying, now my haremai. It still means welcome. Now my haremai ki aotearoa. So here in New Zealand, if you read the news, you listen to the news a lot, you're just involved in conversation that has to do with people. Oftentimes you hear some words that are slipped into the conversation. You know it's not English, but it's used with English, and you're wondering, what is that? That is very common here in New Zealand. They slip in Maori words that are about people into this conversation, just like South Africans like to speak English and then end it with their language. Same thing. So these are some of the common Maori words about people. The first one is whānau. Whānau means family group or your extended family. So when you hear things like my Auckland whānau, my Australian whānau, my Fiji whānau, what they're simply saying is that is your extended family in Fiji, extended family in Australia, extended family in Auckland, wherever. The WH is the other digraph in the Maori language. So Maori language has two digraphs. The first one is the NG, the second one is the WH. And this WH is pronounced like you would pronounce F. So wherever you see WH starting in the word, you know that it's going to be sounded as F. When the Maoris are referring to people or human beings, they use the word tangata. Another one is iwi. This is your tribe, or just a large group of people that have descended from one ancestor. I think in Ibibio we say no, yes. Or at least in Ibiono we say no. So nong is the same thing as iwi. Tane means man or men or husbands, while wahine is woman or women or wives. There's also a word for girls and there's also a word for boys, but the common ones you see is tane and wahine. You see this in public toilets or in everywhere that needs them to demarcate male from female. And then you have tamariki. That one means children. So the Ministry of Children is called Oranga Tamariki, while grandchildren are called Moko. And then when you hear Tipuna or Tupuna, they're referring to their ancestors or grandparents. Pakia means European people. I don't know, for some reason they don't like being called Pakia, but it's also common. So at least once, if you stay here for a while, you will hear someone mention Pakia. It just means European people. Paka Papa has to do with your genealogy. You also hear this a lot in any gathering that involves public institutions and also in schools, in universities and workplaces, etc, etc, etc. For food, the two common Maori words you should know is kai. Kai means food. Then hangi. Hangi is the traditional way of cooking here in Maori. So it's like earth oven. They dig up a hole, they put coal stones and everything, and then they cook their food in there. That is called hangi. I haven't tried one before. I'm long overdue. Oh, scratch that. Actually, I have eaten kai from hangi. So for common Maori language relating to places and lands that you will hear, the first one is Finua, which means land. So Tangata Finua means people of the land. Moana, yes, like that movie Moana, exactly. Spelled the same, pronounced the same. Moana means ocean, sea, just a large body of water. So when you hear Kai Moana, that means seafood. Then you have Maunga. Maunga means mountain. When you're introducing yourself, like if you go to a marae, for instance, or you're in any Maori function that you have to introduce yourself, you talk about your mountain, you talk about your moana, you talk about your finua. Like, it's always really interesting. I highly recommend you attending one of these Maori events, especially if you're from uni. Uni sometimes organizes these things, or you can check out what's on in the community and attend them. You would actually experience the Maori culture, at least just a little bit of it. Then for other things to do, the common Maori words you hear in this aspect are, for instance, if you're going for a walk or on a journey, you say you're going on a hikoi. Hikoi means to walk, to step, or you're going on a journey. Then you have korero. Korero is just to talk. When you want to talk about something, you korero. And you will hear this a lot and see it all over the posters because of the mental health awareness campaign that is going on. Let's korero. So let's talk. Let's speak up. Let's address it. Korero. If you are now having a meeting, conference, seminar, any gathering, that's a hui. So hui is basically to meet. And you have mahi. Mahi means work. So when you go to your job is your mahi. Someone actually asked me that. I was confused. I thought he was talking about food. And the last one is paki paki. Paki paki is to applaud or to clap. So paki paki. If you watch this video to the end, paki paki. All right, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell button for notification on when I post my new videos. And also, if you're thinking of visiting New Zealand or you're already in New Zealand, try to practice some of these words. They will really appreciate it, and I'm sure you also will be glad that you learned a new language. All right, till next time, Matewa.